Hey guys, welcome back to User Experience Points. This week we're going to be looking at Assassin's Creed Rogue, the other Assassin's Creed game that came out last year. It's incredibly similar to 2013's Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which is totally cool with me because that game's UX design is lovely and it's probably my favorite game of the series. That said, I was a little worried that I wouldn't have too much to talk about in this episode due to those similarities, but this does give me a chance to talk about some things I missed from the Black Flag episode and point out any refinements if I can find any. I will be referring to Black Flag a lot, so you may want to go back and check out that episode first. Man, that was 15 episodes ago. That's crazy. We're almost at 20. Anyway, let's get to it. So first, let's talk about the tutorial messages. An approach similar to The Last of Us is taken in that the tutorial messages are actually divided into different types depending on what you're being taught. There's full screen messages that provide complex explanations, text prompts that pop up and don't stop the action, and context-sensitive messages that will pop up to remind you of certain controls, which can be helpful in a game where you can do so many different things. Thankfully, the game does respect that you might actually be able to retain what it teaches you, so you can turn these off if you need to. As I've said before, dividing up tutorials like this is a great idea, because in a large game like this, there's no one way to appropriately display a tutorial message. If they had only used the pop-up text, then some of it would have been way too long, and if they had only used full-screen messages, then they would get way too annoying. However, I think they could have stuck with just two different types of messages, because this can lead to moments where there's way too much text on screen. And the HUD is already cluttered. I mean, look at this. How am I even supposed to process all of that? Thankfully, these moments are pretty rare. The weapon selection in Rogue is exactly the same as Black Flag's, but it uses it in a pretty clever way. The ammo types for Shay's fancy rifle are on the vertical axis, and every other item that he uses are on the horizontal axis. At first I was a little confused about why it was done this way, but from what I can tell in the crafting menu, it looks like I'm going to eventually unlock just as many ammo types as there are other weapons. This makes sense because Shay always has the rifle equipped, which comes at the expense of not being able to manually aim pistols and smoke bombs as far as I can tell. It does seem that this was done intentionally to take some of the emphasis off of the familiar Assassin's tool since, as we all know from the marketing, Shay does eventually join the Templars. Overall, Rogue's weapon selection does a great job of streamlining what was already a very easy-to-use menu in Black Flag while putting emphasis on a new, more complex weapon. Since we're talking about an Xbox 360 game made by Ubisoft, I can talk about how great Uplay is on this console. I know everyone seems to hate Uplay, but I've only had good experiences with it because I don't play games on PC for the most part. While it does launch quite slowly and can't be accessed at any time, like in Unity, which I played on PS4, Uplay is much more usable on the Xbox 360. While it does have a few other features that I don't really use, like being able to watch videos and switch between games, the two most important actions are right at point of use, which are being able to see which tasks you need to complete to earn Uplay points in Assassin's Creed Rogue, and what rewards you can buy with points you already have from playing other Ubisoft games. It also doesn't have the accidental exiting problem that Unity had, because exiting is mapped to the Y button, rather than the B button which someone would naturally press to go back a level in the menu, not exit entirely. This is the problem that Unity had with the circle button, and I'm going to assume with the Xbox One's B button. I guess someday I'll have to check out the PC experience of Uplay, but on consoles I can say for sure that it kicks ass. I also wanted to talk about how Rogue connects to Assassin's Creed Initiates, but unfortunately as of recording, writing, and any other time I checked this week, the service has been down. So I can't really tell if the dumb little notification on the title screen that just tells you to go to the website is representative of the actual user experience. Oh well, maybe I'll catch you in the next roundup episode. One experience in Black Flag I didn't get to talk about was how great crafting is, and it's just as good in Rogue. When scrolling through craftable items, you have a very clear indication of whether you can craft something, you're missing the ingredients, or you've made it already. You also get a very clear breakdown of what you have and what you need to do it. Though I will say the descriptions for the actual items are a bit unnecessary. All you get out of this whole sentence here is that this item will increase Shay's health by 25%. Why not just say health plus 25%? That way you can more quickly digest all of the information about each craftable item as you scroll. The way the game leads you to the crafting menu when you can make something new is also incredibly well done. I'm sorry, I gotta kill you to make a point! When you obtain the materials you need to craft a new item, you get an on-screen notification. The new craftable item also shows up in the main menu before you actually go into the crafting menu if you select it. This is a great way to remind you that you can make something without being too annoying about it. And finally, let's talk about the map screen. Even though it's a super common modern video game map with a ton of icons, there's some pretty neat stuff here. It has easily the simplest version of filtering that I've seen on a map like this, and elegantly introduces the ability to switch between two maps. I also rarely see the ability to center the map back on your character, and I've never seen a control for instantly jumping to the minimum or maximum possible zoom available. These are all incredibly useful features you don't often see in modern video game map screens. However, I do have one gripe around the messaging for the fast travel feature. See, whenever the game has disabled fast travel for whatever reason, you don't actually know that until you try to fast travel somewhere. This means selecting a location on the map and then selecting fast travel, only to get a message that fast travel is currently disabled. This information should have been brought to a slightly higher level in order to save some of the player's time. This could have been as simple as bringing this up one level onto the fast travel prompt, or perhaps as some kind of on-screen status for the map itself. Overall, I would say Assassin's Creed Rogue does a great job of not fixing what wasn't broken in Black Flag, except for the progress tracker. That screen's kind of still a pain. Yet at the same time, you catch all these nice little refinements like the updated weapon selection for Shay's fancy new rifle.
Thanks for the present, Buster Washington.
That show this was more than just making use of existing patterns, even if it does do that very well. And that's all I've got for you this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and please do me a favor and maybe hit that subscribe button or check out some of the other videos. Or leave me some of that delicious, tasty feedback that I always appreciate. And with that, I will see you all next week.